Hello and welcome back to Africa Rise Interactive, and I hope you are doing well. Finally, we are talking about the introduction to graphics designing so that we get started with graphics designing in Photoshop, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, and Adobe InDesign. So let's talk about the color theory, because color is very important in as far as designing is concerned. Color is important as a visual representative of your designs. Without color, your designs are not the way that they may look like. And again, if color is misused, it can give bad designing. And I can remember from myself when I was beginning, people used to laugh at my designing because I used to mix a lot of colors. I had never gone through the color theory to understand how best I can make use of the colors to tell my stories. So before we get started, just consider subscribing, follow if you are watching this on Facebook, and like and share with your friends so that they can also benefit these free lessons. And again, don't forget to ask questions or just to comment in the comment section below. Just say hi, let's interact, and let's boost the YouTube algorithm by clicking the like button and the subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and let's rush into it and see what we have out there. Well, we are here today. This subject has been waited for a long time. Introduction to graphics designing, and this is for absolute beginners. That is why we are starting with the color theory. And I believe you are going to enjoy and learn a lot from this one. It's like myself when I was starting graphics designing. I didn't know much about all these things of color theory and so forth. I just had to run right away to experiment with Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, CorelDRAW, and InDesign without knowing these principles. And I have had a big challenge when I was beginning, because a lot of people have been talking to me about my designs and my color balances and too much color mixings and so forth. So if you are starting with me this course, you are going to enjoy yourself, because you will face a little to minor criticism than compared to myself when I was just starting. So without further ado, let's get started. Color theory, introduction to graphic designing for absolute beginners. Let's come to ask this question before we get to anywhere. But what is color, by the way? It's a visual attribute of things that results from the light they emit or transmit or reflect. So as you can understand from this definition, color is generated through emission and transmission and reflection of light. Whenever an object is transmitted against a particular light and it is reflected against a particular light, and also every object is capable of emitting or absorbing color. So that is the simple definition of color. And why is color so important? Let me do something so that we can be able to understand. Why is color so important? So I want to open Photoshop. As I have opened Photoshop, I come to my layers. I know that you may not know about Photoshop, but this is for demonstration purposes. We are going to do tutorials getting into Photoshop, demonstrating how you can use Photoshop. But for this case, I just want to do a demonstration of you to understand why color is important. So I just want to close some of the layers. And right now you can see what we are having here. We have an image of a table by the beach, and this table seems to have things like wine, a basket, and so forth. And we can see everything is kind of like grayed out and is not appealing. Okay, and from there, let me close this layer and come over to here. This one, it has got black and white. It has got just black and white. You can see everything, but over here we don't know whether this is eggs or it's grapes or it's what, and we don't know the color, the real color of this wine and other things over here. And we can see as if just maybe it's just in winter. You see, it's just black and white. It's sad. The image is not appealing. But if I go ahead and click this layer and come over here, we now have a huge difference. The story is more clear. The story is more clear. However, I want to go ahead and Control J to duplicate this and edit it a little bit so that you are able to compare further the two colors. So I want to come under filter and color raw and camera raw. And from there, I want to tweak a little bit of this image to do some little editings so that we'll be able to compare how visual appealing the colors may be. And from there, what I want to do is to raise the contrast. And from raising the contrast, I just want to add some little of the highlights. And from there, I want to take the blacks a little bit down, and from there I want to take the shadows a little bit down, and I want to increase the vibrance, and I want to increase the saturation. Yeah, just like that. And I just click OK. Once that is done, we want to compare the look of the two images. You are going to see a huge difference. Look, before and after. Before and after. Before, these mountains were kind of like grayed out. The clouds were not much visible, and this area, although it is that clear already, but it was not that much vibrant, and the grapes and so forth. But when you come over here to do this, you can see that even these objects over here are much even portray the colors in vibrance, and the sea itself, the water over there is actually indicating. Look at this building far away over here. When you click over here, the way it is now appearing over there in the far end, and the mountains over here, the green trees and the dark green trees, everything here is actually visually appealing, everything. So this is why color is that very, very important. Okay, so going ahead, let's actually answer the question, why is color important? Color is able to help us tell the story, is able to tell us the story. The more visually appealing the color is, the better the story is able to tell. So now we have got a lot of colors that we want to talk about, but color itself can be categorized into simply two modes. Two color modes. We've got what we call subtractive color and what we call additive color. Color additive is used for screens when you are using your cell phone, when you are using your computer, when you are watching on television. Those are additive colors. They are on the screen. They use what you call RGB mode. RGB, which stands for red, green, and blue. Then we also have another form of color called subtractive mode, which is only or exclusively used for printing. When you want to design something for printing in Photoshop, you need to just come over here, file new. You need to just come over here, file new, and once you open this window opens, you come under printing, and you just need to change this RGB mode to CMYK and click OK, so that you are able to have your colors for printing. And somebody could be asking, what will happen if I choose the RGB mode to go for printing? Man, follow the rules. This is very, very important. I don't even want to explain what will happen, because when you are printing, the paper will be absorbing the ink. But when you put on the screen, it's different with how the inks or with how the colors are displayed. Now, what also happens is the CMYK color mode, which is the subtractive color mode, it only has these colors for its primary colors. For its primary colors, it only has what we call cyan, magenta, and yellow. So we don't want to dwell much into that color, but let's talk about what will happen once we mix these three colors, or what will happen when we put these colors together. When you put them together, they generate a darker color. And now what will happen is, if we come over here, you can see that we have blue, black, green, red. And this is what happens when you mix these colors. Going ahead, the thing of color is a little bit strange and amazing and interesting to understand, that when you are mixing colors, things just happen, like giving you a totally different color. So let's go ahead and talk more about what will happen. So we don't want to dwell much in the CMYK, because when you're doing graphics designing, you much dwell on screens. You are designing on the screens, even if you want to intend it to be designed. So what you if you intend it to be printed, normally you actually do that on the machine, or on the computer, I mean. So we want to focus on the RGB, red, green, and blue. So as I have said, when you are choosing something for printing, just go ahead and choose it to be a CMYK. So without further ado, let's go to red, green, and blue and talk about what you may need to do when you are designing something for the screens. You want to post on social media, Twitter, Facebook. You want to advertise on your website. You want to do wherever you want to use it. You need to design something using the RGB color mode. So from there, and RGB color modes, that is what we mean by that: red, green, and blue. So let's move on forward and talk about what you call the hue. What is hue? Hue, wherever you are given on a color wheel, or amongst the colors that you are given, the color that is much dominant over there has got the highest value, or that color is called hue, is more dominant. And each color or each hue has got its value, which is to say, a value of a color is its lightness or its darkness. As you can see from these two colors, this kind of purple is much darker and this one is much lighter. Okay, that is what we call color value. Going ahead, let's ask this question. Did you know? When you talk of color, do you know that both men and women have a different understanding of colors? If you ask a man about colors, men we generally know very simple colors like red, purple, pink, orange, yellow, green, and blue. That's it. But when you are to ask a woman, they will tell you that there is what you call maraschino, cayenne, what maroon, bloom, eggplant, grape, orchid, lavender, what, strawberry, bubblegum, magenta, salmon, tangerine, and many names that they will give you on the color spectrum. But for men, we understand colors simply. So this introduces us to a man called Isaac Newton, a man who lived in the mid 16th century. And this man is the one who founded color, if I may say, because he is the one who started with the experimentations of discovering and mixing up colors. He started thinking about how white light is the sum of different colors, of different colored lights. That is to say, Isaac Newton came with an opinion. He came out with a formula and he said, if you are to mix red and light purple, you are able to get this color magenta. So by mixing colors, you are able to generate more colors. This takes us to what we call the color wheel, or different color palettes that are there in the RGB palettes, or in the RGB mode. So this takes us to what we call the primary colors. Under the additive mode, we've got the primary colors, which are simply the red, green, and blue. These are the primary colors. And if we mix all these colors, the three colors together, they simply give us white. What? This is it. So for those who actually sell paints, I think they understand this, or those who are working with paints, they understand that if you mix green, red, and blue, you are able to generate the white color. Going ahead, these ones which are talking about are called the primary colors. They are the major in the additive mode. Now going ahead, we want to talk about this other color, which is called the secondary colors. The secondary colors are a combination of the previous one. That is to say, instead of a green, red, and blue, if you are to mix green and red, the colors which are close to each other, you are able to get yellow, which is a secondary color. And if you mix red and blue, you are able to get this one, the light purple, which is under the secondary. And you are to mix green and blue, you are able to get the light blue, or which is leaning towards green. And these ones are called the secondary colors. Going ahead from there, we have what you call the tertiary colors. The tertiary colors are generated, as you can see from here, by mixing the two between them. And we have this one, we mix the two yellow and red, we have the brown, we mix the red and the purple, and we get the other one over here. And the names are even much complicated. I can't even understand some of the names, but you can research if you are interested to know much. We are just doing this one for you to understand what you are doing when you begin your graphics designing. So once that happens, it will get us to a wheel which looks like this completely, but which when compressed further will get us to this far, whereby at the center we have complete white and a shade of colors coming to link and mixing together. So now this leads us to what we call color harmonies. The first thing under color harmonies, we want to talk about what we call the triadic colors. The triadic colors are simply means from the word tri, which is three. We have got a combination of three colors that we may use when we are designing. That is to say, if you choose over here these colors are normally a kind of like random choosing of the colors, but with a space evenly distributed, which is to say a space from here to here is even, and a space from here to here is the same, and from here is the same, which is to say if you roll your wheel and you evenly distribute your colors, you are able to have what? Your triadic. I can demonstrate this, and I will put a screen on I will put on the screen as I will be showing using my my application over here, which I have with the triadic. As I can demonstrate on my application, you can see what is happening over here right now. I'm mixing the colors, and this wheel is moving actually right through with the distances between the three pointers moving simultaneously or moving correctly or evenly spaced. This is the triadic color harmony. And from there, before we go further on the color harmonies, we just want to talk about this issue. When we're talking about colors and the color harmonies, we have got a distinctive, or the colors can be divided into equally two major categories, which are warm colors, which are to the right over here, and cold colors, which is to say from light green over there to dark blue, it's cold colors, and from purple over here all the way to yellow, they are what? Warm colors. Okay, so you need to understand the colors if you are to design what you are going to design, and you may mix both the warm colors and the cold colors, but if you are to choose the triadic color harmony, make sure that you put the color codes as they are, as you have seen on my demonstration of the application. Going ahead, we can also talk about what you call the analogous colors. So I can also go ahead on my application and come to the analogous. You can see that on the analogous color, we can see that as I'm moving like this, it is simply choosing the colors that are in the same range, the colors that are relating together, moving from over here, colors that are close together, moving here. You can see from light green to dark green to faint green, kind of like, you see. So this is it. You can also see on my application over here. This one is also it can also be regarded as the analogous color wheel. You can see what's happening over here, and I can move this thing, and I can put them close together like this, and I can move like this. As you can see, this is the analogous. This is the analogous. So I think you understand what is the analogous, and this is a palette of analogous color, and I'm going to upload this file in my Telegram channel, so the link will be in the description. You go ahead, you download. If you want these palettes to put in your Photoshop as you are designing, you just I'm just going to show you in the Photoshop tutorials what you can do to pick the colors as you are designing. Okay, another thing you can do is to download the application, this application called Color Theory. You can use it for free, although if you want to upgrade, you can actually go ahead and upgrade and explore it to the maximum. This application which I'm using right away right now, as you can see on my phone. Let's go ahead and talk about the other color, which is called the monochromatic. Unlike the color harmonies unlike the triadic and the analogous, the monochromatic is a little bit different because it takes linearly, it takes colors linearly from all the shades of colors going down, as you can see from my application here. As I'm rolling over here, you can see what's happening as well. So this is the monochromatic colors. You can choose a shade of those colors the way they are uniformly to design what you want to design, and you actually I want you, when you begin to do the designing, you experiment around the use of all these colors and see what you may get. From there, we have what we call the complementary colors. And from there, the complementary colors are directly opposite from each other. So you can choose shades of colors directly opposing each other. And these are really, really good at making contrast to your design. They give very, very high contrast to your design, and they are full of energy. If you want your designs to have energy, you need to use the complementary colors. And we can also talk about another color which we can talk about, which is what you call the split complementary. We have what you call the split complementary colors. The split complementary colors are just a split of the three. Just take the three colors, is just kind of similar to the triadic, but different in the sense that of the two, you take the one that are kind of like, you jump at least one on the color wheel and you take one direct opposite like this. As you can see, this one is very good at striking contrast and also harmony. Now from there, we want to just give a summary of all the colors that we have talked about. This is the summary: monochromatic, split complementary, triadic, and complementary colors, triadic colors. And we also have what you call the tetratriadic, which we did cover, and we have the analogous. So moving from there, now let's talk about the color psychology. How colors can evoke emotions. How colors can evoke emotions. Colors can evoke emotions if they are used either well or badly. For example, I can just give an example of a design which was done very well or which was done very badly. If you are to come back to these experiments which you have actually introduced at first, there are different emotions evoked by all these different colors. Over here, it's a very bad emotion that can come to you because the details, a lot of information is missing in this color. And by the end of the day, the emotions are kind of there is not that striking balance or that striking impact to your emotion that happens. You see, it's just like cool, not cool as such. It's just kind of like completely cold. But when we are to open this one right here, you see that there is a vibe that is actually provoked to you. So colors provoke emotions, and when you come to this one, it also gives you a different talk or a different story. So now let's go and look at certain designs and certain companies that use different colors to actually advertise their businesses or their products. And right now we've got colors that provoke optimism. So normally, if your optimism and clarity is basically the use of warm colors are dominant. Warm colors are dominant under optimism and clarity. You want to clarify something. You want to show that you are optimistic about your business, optimistic about your product. Your business is promising. Okay, hope in the business. So we talk of logos like National Geographic, McDonald's, IMDb, Nikon, and we have got Best Buy, Big Ball Pen, IKEA, and many other logos. Okay. Then we can also talk about the logos that the businesses that are friendly, which are friendly. You can talk of Fanda and Orange, Fruitorama. You can talk about MasterCard and the Business Service Orange, and you can talk about the Repsol and Food Network. You can talk about Voya, Nextel, You can talk about many other businesses that you can think of out there, which talk about what friendliness of their businesses. Then we can also go ahead and talk about businesses that provoke excitement. When you think of Pinterest, it is exciting because it's a place itself whereby you find different pins of different ideas, exciting ideas of decorations and many other things, you see. And you can talk about Disney. It's all about exciting movies. You can talk about YouTube. You can talk about Nintendo, Motorola, PlayStations is exciting, CNN and Adobe. You can talk of Nike, Coca-Cola, Libro, Orange. All these ones, they are trying to say our business is exciting and our products are exciting. They excite you. They are youthful and they are bold and they face the future. Okay, another thing that we can talk of, we can talk about another thing that I have missed is cheerful and confidence on yellow over here. Let's talk about here about creativity or creative businesses, which would make you creative businesses, which are trying to say when you use our products, you become creative and imaginative, or you become wise. You can talk about Yahoo. You can talk about Think Pink, The Violet, and many other businesses out there. These are businesses that are trying to say we are creative and you can also become creative with us. Then what is the meaning of other colors like blue? Blue in the business is all about trust. Blue is all about trust, dependable, and strength. As you can look at businesses like HP, they are trying to say you can depend on us, you can trust us, you can actually have strength with us. Sony, Ford, think about Ford. It's all about strength, trust in us. Samsung, and you can also think of Mr. Blue, Philips, and Microsoft, Skype, and many other businesses out there. Then you can also think of other businesses that are trying to say, we believe in peace. We believe in peace and we believe in the preservation of nature. You see, we believe in growth, in healthy. So they talk about what? Green. You can see one of my logos out there. If I'm to show you here, this is one of our logos, Infinity Health. We are trying to say to you, this is all about healthy and wealthy and also growth, as we are talking about health in this YouTube channel. If I'm to show you one of my logos, this one, what do you think about this one? Africa Arise Interactive. What are we trying to talk about over here? If we are to look amongst the logos, let's come over here. We are trying to say this is a platform of creativity, imaginative, you become wise. This is the message that you are trying to send out there. So this is other businesses. You can think of BP, which sells fuel, which is environmentally friendly. This is what they are trying to say. It's a healthy fuel, it is growth, it is peaceful to the environment. And you can talk about Vital Green, you can talk about Leskmark, and you can talk about Green, Go Green, and you can talk about Energy Australia and many companies out there. Then the other and the last one that we would like to talk about is colors which are neutral and which strike a balance and calmness and which provoke originality. When you are using gray and black, you are trying to say we are original and we are balanced, and when you have us, you are balanced, you are calm and simple. Simplicity. You can talk of these businesses like Mercedes, Apple. You can talk about Lexus and Mazda and Indigo. So all those businesses, they are trying to tell you about all these things. So now you are actually able to understand what ideas that you need to shed when you are designing something. You need to think of colors first if you are designing a logo or whatever you are designing. What story do you want to tell through the art of color? And once you think of that, you may go ahead and design what you want to design. Another thing that we want to talk about maybe in the next one is to talk about the different designs and their interpretations. Not interpretations through color, but the way they are designed. For example, if you are to look at these different logos over here, why does this Safari logo has got this thing like a V-shaped thing, and why does this one has something like the green kind of flower kind of something, and this one has this kind of an animal, and this one has got these the way it is. We're going to explain that one. If you think you want me to explain why it is like that, just put comments in the description below and we'll go ahead to talk about that. Another thing that I want to leave unpunished is talking about fonts. When you are going to begin your designing, it is important to choose your fonts wisely. Designing, you need to use elegant fonts. It's not a matter of just randomly putting different fonts here and there, messing things up. You need to make sure that your fonts are appealing and elegant and attractive. So I have preserved at least 6 major fonts that you will never go wrong if you want to stick to them and begin to use them as a beginner. And you can even stick with them for life, because these are the best fonts that you should never ignore. And most of these fonts, you don't even need to buy them. This is where we come to talk about the 6 fonts which are used by serious designers out there. I have although incorporated a list of other fonts like here: Moonshine, Impact, Edge, Roboto, Maserati. The issue here is now, if you can't read something that you have designed, if something that is in your designing, it means that the font is not sending the message. Because the purpose of designing something, you want to send a message through the art of color, but also through writing. So if your font is not readable, you should never use it. But we have got the 6 major fonts which are very, very easy to read, but which are also appealing visually and elegant. We have the first font, which is Gammon. So when you are designing whatever you are designing, just type Gammon. You are able to find this font. And if you can't find it, go on Google and download it for free. All of these fonts, you can get them for free. Another font is Bodoni. It's very elegant. And another third font is Century Extended, and another font is Futura, and we also have another font, Times New Roman. This is widely used in Microsoft Word documents when you are typing something for printing. Many people use this one. And we have the last font, which is Helvetica. Helvetica. This is the last font. And these fonts, they come with their varieties like bold, regular, thin, and many actually varieties which accompany these fonts. So you need to use these fonts as you are beginning to make your things readable. Thank you very much for watching this. But before I close up, look at some of the big companies which are using these fonts that I have outlined here. You can see companies like Panasonic, Jeep, Lufthansa, BMW, and Motorola. They use simple fonts like this. Have you ever imagined that? Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, subscribe, share, like, comment in the section, ask your questions, and we'll be there to answer you.